How could the woman I had built my life with, the one I promised to love in sickness and in health, be the same person staring back at me with such cold indifference? If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from, and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. It was a Tuesday, a day so painfully ordinary it would later feel like a mockery. I was rummaging through Sarah's coat pocket, looking for her keys. My fingers brushed against a folded piece of paper, a receipt. Not for groceries, not for a new dress, but for a one-night stay at the Drake Hotel, right here in Chicago. The date was last Friday, the night she was supposedly at a work conference in Naperville. The charge was for a king suite and a bottle of champagne. My heart didn't just sink, plummeted, leaving a hollow, echoing void in my chest. For a moment, the world went silent. All I could hear was the frantic, panicked drumming of my own pulse. Looking back, the signs were all there, scattered like breadcrumbs I was too blind to follow. It started subtly. Sarah, my wife of 10 years, began guarding her phone like it was a national treasure. Late-night work calls became a regular thing. She'd take them in the guest room, her voice a low, secretive murmur. She started going to the gym more, buying new lingerie that I never saw. And her scent changed from the familiar lavender to something musky and foreign. When I'd ask about her day, the answers were vague, clipped. It was fine, she'd say, her eyes glued to her screen. A ghost of a smile playing on her lips, a smile that wasn't for me. The distance between us grew from a crack to a chasm. We lived in the same house on North Clark Street, shared the same bed, but we were miles apart. One evening I tried to bridge that gap, made her favorite dinner, pasta bolognese, and opened a bottle of the good Merlot. "Is everything okay with us, Sarah?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She looked up, her expression a perfect mask of annoyance. "What are you talking about, John? I'm just stressed from work. Can't you just be supportive instead of so needy all the time?" Needy. The word was a slap in the face. I was the one holding our life together, paying the mortgage, remembering her mother's birthday, and I was needy. That was the night the woman I loved began to feel like a stranger, a cold, calculating one. The receipt was the key, but the text messages were the confession. Her phone lay on the nightstand, charging. She was in the shower, humming. The passcode was my birthday. The irony was a bitter pill. I opened her messages, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the device. There he was, Mark, a name I didn't recognize. Conversation was a library of our marriage's autopsy. Hundreds of messages filled with inside jokes, explicit photos, and plans. Plans for Friday nights at the Drake. Plans for a future that didn't include me. "John is so clueless," one of her texts read. "He actually believes I'm working late. It's almost pathetic." Another from him. "Can't wait to have you all to myself again." "When are you going to leave the ball and chain?" They saw me as an obstacle, a joke. The humiliation was a physical force, pressing down on my chest until I couldn't breathe. I felt small, pathetic, and utterly foolish. That night I didn't sleep. I just lay there, feeling the warmth from her body next to me, a warmth that now felt like a lie. The woman I had vowed to protect was my greatest enemy. The next morning, I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. His eyes were hollow, aged by a decade of betrayal in a single night. The heartbreak was a raging storm, but beneath it, something else was taking root. A cold, hard resolve. They thought I was a pathetic, clueless ball and chain. They were about to discover just how wrong they were. The sadness didn't vanish. It crystallized into a diamond-hard point of focus. I wouldn't just leave. I would orchestrate their downfall. The first step was gathering evidence. I became a ghost in my own home. I installed a keylogger on our shared computer and a voice-activated recorder in her car. Every conversation, every email, every clandestine booking confirmation was captured and saved to a secure, encrypted drive. I followed them once, just to see. I watched from my car across the street as Sarah met Mark for lunch, at a little cafe in Lincoln Park, the way he brushed her hair from her face, the way she laughed, a full-throated laugh I hadn't heard in years. It was a dagger twisting in my gut. But I didn't flinch. I just took a picture, my face a stoic mask. This wasn't about pain anymore. This was about justice. Next, the legal trap. I met with the best divorce lawyer in Chicago, a shark named Ms. Davison. I laid out the evidence folder by organized folder, The receipts, the text logs, the audio recordings, the photographs. Her eyes widened slightly. "Mr. Miller," she said, a slow smile spreading across her face. "This is comprehensive. We drafted the divorce papers. We weren't just citing infidelity. We were using the evidence to invoke a morality clause in our prenuptial agreement. Clause Sarah had insisted on, ironically, to protect her family assets from a potential philanderer. The clause stated that any marital assets acquired would be forfeited by the adulterous party if their actions brought public disgrace upon the family name. Public disgrace, that was the key. The social trap was the final piece of the puzzle. Sarah's father, Mr. Harrison, was a titan of industry, a man who valued image and reputation above all else. He was throwing a massive charity gala to celebrate his company's 50th anniversary.
Nice.
It was the social event of the season, and Sarah, his perfect daughter, was scheduled to give a keynote speech about family values and legacy. Mark, I discovered, worked for a competitor firm that Mr. Harrison despised. This was too perfect. I booked a table at the gala, right at the front, and I sent Mark an anonymous invitation, making it look like it came from Sarah herself, with a note, "Surprise me. Let's make it our night." I knew his ego wouldn't let him resist. The night of the gala was cinematic. The ballroom at the Four Seasons was dripping with crystal and champagne. Sarah was radiant in a silver gown, laughing with politicians and CEOs. She saw me at my table and gave a small, condescending nod, as if I were just a piece of furniture. Then Mark walked in. I saw the flicker of panic in her eyes as he approached her, a smug grin on his face. Her father was standing right beside her. The timing was perfect. Just as the host introduced the pride of the Harrison family, Sarah Miller, I signaled my lawyer's associate. Every screen in the ballroom, which was meant to show a slideshow of happy family photos, suddenly flickered to life. It started with the hotel receipt, and the text messages blown up for all to see. "John is so clueless. When are you going to leave the ball and chain?" And the photos of their secret lunches. The final image was a crystal-clear picture I had taken of them kissing passionately outside the Drake. Time-stamped, "Oh, ah!" A collective gasp swept through the room. The silence was absolute. Sarah stood frozen on the stage, her face a mask of horror. Her father's face went from confusion to crimson rage. He looked from the screen to his daughter, then to Mark, who was trying to shrink into the wallpaper. All eyes were on them. The public disgrace was total, and it was glorious. A process server I had hired walked calmly through the stunned crowd and handed the divorce papers to a statue like Sarah. Right there on the stage, I didn't stay to watch the fallout. I simply stood up, adjusted my tie, and walked out of the ballroom, leaving the smoldering ruins of her life behind me. I didn't look back. Driving home through the empty Chicago streets, there was no triumphant cheer, no surge of joy. There was only a profound, chilling quiet in my soul. I had one. I had destroyed her, just as she had destroyed me. And in the end, I was utterly alone,